Like, did I just record a whole interesting video without pressing record? Okay, anyway. Hi guys, and welcome to my channel. This is Matt Daniels, and if you are here for the first time, please welcome to my channel and make sure that you do press that red subscribe button. And if you are returning to this channel, please make sure that you press the notification button so that you get notified whenever I get to post a video. So today we're going to be having like an intimate discussion. We're going to be having a little bit of an intimate discussion about some of my biggest fears and some of my biggest dreadest moments in my life. Like some, not like the major, like I have like major, like I'm gonna bring it, girl. I'm gonna like bring it. So but today I want to talk about this little part of my life that's been like a nuisance, you know. So when I was growing up, my biggest fear was not like other people's like normal fears. My biggest fear has always been having a child without a car. That has always been one of the things that I dreaded, that I hated more than anything. I would just see how new moms would struggle in public transport. You find you have to go to Josie and the baby's crying, or you have to take the child to a doctor and you're in the taxi and then someone opens a window. It was just a hassle for me, and it would always break my heart. And it was just something that I never imagined that I would find myself in or I would ever go through. You know, I'd never thought I'd have a child until as I coma 2 years without having a child of my own. It was just not something that I imagined, you know. So, but yeah, because life, you know, has its own plans, things happen, you know, each happened, and I had a child. I had a child, and I didn't have a car. And guess what? My worst nightmare happened. My worst nightmare happened. But unfortunately, because like my dad was around and he had a car, most of the time when I had to take my child to the clinic, it's either my sister was there or my dad was there to help me with that. So it was not at least it was not as horrible as, you know, I had imagined. I've never, I think ever since Levi was born, I don't think Levi has ever been in a taxi or a bus. You know, we've never had to travel together, like be in a bus and taxi kind of situation, you know. So it's always been very challenging. It's been very challenging. It's challenging being a mother, and especially in my line of work, in my business, my kind of business, you know, the kind of business that I do, and not have a car, because I stay far from things. Obviously, the people in my village, I think ever since I started my business, I've been booked once in this village, like once, ever since I started. Ever since me, I've been booked once here, by one person. Last week, you know, she was my first paying client. And, you know, it becomes a very big challenge. And it becomes a big challenge. I think my most saddest moment was, I think it was a year back, if it was not 2 years back. I think it was 2 years back, because Levi was still young. He was still young, and I got invited to a wedding, and I was supposed to do my friend's makeup at the wedding. My friend was not the one getting married, but I was supposed to do, it was her sister was getting married, so I was supposed to do her makeup. So I called my partner in parenting. I'm like, yo, I need a favor. This and this is happening. So can you please accompany me to the gig, and can you please take the ngani with you, so that at least I don't have to worry about what happens to him when I'm not around, because I've never left him. I've never slept not next to him. So that's gonna be my first time. So at least if I know that he's with you, I'll be okay wherever that I'm going to be. So my partner in parenting agrees. He's like, okay, I'm going to take you there. I'm going to take you there. And then he comes, and then he takes me, and then he's like, okay, can you leave Levi with a helper for today, because of the situation at home, I'm not going to be able to go home with him. So I understood. I was like, fine. So I left and went for the wedding. He took me there. I remember when I was there, I got a message from his side. Yeah, I got a message from his side. I knew that it was the side because I knew his names. right? I knew his girlfriends, his main girlfriends, right? Like, do you see what I did there? Like, I knew his main girlfriends, so I knew that she was the side, and she knew it too. So now her complaint was, why should he have to come here to take my child to the doctors when my child is sick? Why at my age now I don't have a car? Because now she owned her first car when she was 20. So why, old as I am, I have my own car or my own transport? Okay, so of which it was tricky. I was like, I didn't even know like what she was talking about, because first of all, my child wasn't sick. So it means Kuti, the partner, told her that he's coming home to take my child to the doctors because the child was sick. So it was a whole lot of insults that came with that message, a whole lot of insults, and already I feel bad that I don't have a car by myself, right? I felt bad. I felt, like having to ask your partner, especially because now you're no longer in business together, and you're no longer in business together, having to ask him, it was not really an easy thing for me to do, but I really wanted to be at my friends because I haven't been supporting her like I wanted to for the longest time. So that time I wanted to be there for her to just show her support, So it was not an easy thing for me to ask my partner to like take me there. So to have this girl, come into my DM and be insulting me like that, it was not really something that was pleasant for my emotions. It was like very sad, very sad, when someone, wants you to feel that they are better than you because they've had a car since they were 20 and you are 27 and you don't even have a car of your own. What have you been doing with your life all this time? When other girls have been working, when other girls have been hustling, what have you been doing, girl? Sitting there and you ain't got a car. Why don't you give a car? So it was like that, and I left, and we came back, and I spoke to him about it. I was like, make sure that this kind of things like don't happen. Be honest, and yeah, that was the story. So it was very, already it was very heavy on my spirit at that moment. I think that was one of the most moments that made me feel, what, I don't have a car, and it's just sad. So the second time where I really felt it, where it stung in my heart, you don't have a car. I remember it was I had to go to a gig in Zanin. I had to go to a gig. I knew that my business was just starting as a makeup artist. I was just starting off, and I needed the publicity. And this person was like someone who's influential and someone that is known by people, So I knew that I needed the publicity. I needed someone who's out there so that they can be able to show people that, hey, I'm Mads, I've arrived, I'm a makeup artist, and I'm really good at what I do. So after that, I went, and I knew that going to Zanini, it's very hard because I have to go to Palawara, which is 50 Ks, and then from Palawara I have to go to Zanini, which is like 110 Ks. I knew that she's going to pay me 400 Rand, and I knew that my dad's car, full tank, is about 300 Rand, because it's a quid, if not 300, then like 400 Rand. And I'm like, okay, we're gonna get to town, and I'm gonna like full tank, and then we're gonna go to this gig. I'm not gonna make money, but I really need the publicity at the moment. And my dad charged me. He said, I need 600 Rand. I want 600. You want me to take you to Zanin? I want 600 Rand. I'm like, I'm not gonna make 600. I'm only gonna make 400. And right now, I don't even have any money. I think I'm left with 200 Rand to my name, in my account that I want to use to buy water, because we buy water. And then he's like, listen, girl, if you don't put the money in my account in the next 30 minutes, I am going back. And I had to call my sister and ask her to borrow me 400 Rand to add with the 200 Rand that I have. and then transfer it to my dad so that we can go to a gig. So basically, I went to work for a negative 200 rand. I went to work for negative 200 rand and I was like completely broke at that moment. But I needed that, and I went and I worked, and it was the pressure, like the sting, the stab of the heart at that moment, when it was just not pleasant. It was just not an amazing feeling, So we went, and it was just sad, because obviously the whole way I had to travel to my dad telling me how incompetent I am and telling me how my business is worthless and it doesn't make me any money, and telling me how my business it's not worth it, because how can I travel all the way for 400 rand? I should charge them for petrol money. And I was like, my business is still young, and right now I need the publicity, and without that I won't be able to make the real money. I have to work for free for a bit so that I can get to a point where I'm not gonna be able to offer people free services, and my dad wasn't taking it, the whole road, and I just kept quiet. Imagine driving for almost 300 kilometers, to and back, all together, being told how incompetent you are and how all those negative things that could probably crush your spirit. And we went, and I did the makeup, and I had a good day, and then we came back, and then when we came back, it was fine. So the last moment, that was the I remember this day I cried like nobody's business. I cried, right? I cried. I think it was Levi was sick. My son was an adorable little baby, you guys. He was this adorable, nice little boy. He was just the sweetest thing in the whole world. He never cried. When he would cry, I would know for a fact that something is wrong with him. So he never cried at all. So he was just, I love that boy. I still love him, even though now he's 100%, 155% turnaround from that. He's now a tornado. But he's still sleeping. That is why you don't hear any sounds. My son, again, now I've bathed because I was supposed to go to a gig. I've bathed and done my makeup because I was supposed to go to a gig. I was supposed to go to town. So I'm not going to go to town because my dad is busy cleaning his yard, So he's not going to be able to take me because he's cleaning his yard at his house. So it's fine. And Levi was sick. I remember he cried all night. And he was sick. And I called my dad and I'm like, Levi is sick. I have to take him to the hospital. My dad was like, where is his father? He was like, where is his father? And I'm like, what do you mean, where is his father? He's like, call his father to come and take you to work. I'm not the father of this child. Call the father, and you guys must arrange or hire someone who will take you to the doctor. That time, it's in the middle of the month. I don't have money, and because I'm using medical aid, I knew that at least with the 500 rand that I had left at that moment, I was going to give him half of it for petrol, because Gyan is 50 Ks. So I was gonna give him at least half of it because he's my dad after all, supposed to help me, and at least so that the rest I can buy water, because water is a very big problem. So I remember he came, and then he was like, no, there's nothing wrong with this child. There's nothing wrong with this child. He's gonna be fine. And I was like, no, he's not gonna be fine. I want to take him to the doctor so that I can make sure that he's okay. When you're a new mom and you're like that, you're anxious. And then he refused. He refused, and I couldn't believe of all the things that he could refuse at that moment where I really need him, because my son is just not well, and I remember that day I missed my mom so much. I was like, yo, if my mom were here, this right now would not be happening. And I cried so much. I was like, outside. I was standing outside, and when he left and went back, no, something happened that day. The day he was supposed to, when we were supposed to go, I remember I left school early. I left school early because I was called, and then they said I must come back because Levi is not well. And when I got home and I called him to take me to the doctors, he didn't come on time. He didn't come on time until it was around 2:30, 3. He came with some other woman who had asked him to take her to town, right? So that even made me even more hurt because he was taking someone else to town with his car, of course. It's his right, and my child at that moment was sick, and I really felt it, and if I had money, I would have bought a car that day. I would have went to the store and bought a car for myself that day, but things happen, and it continues to be a struggle. It's not easy, it's not, especially when you are a temporary teacher. At least if I was permanent, I would just go into the store and just give me a car, so it's just been challenging. And when people look at you, and then you find sometimes when I'm going to school, I bump into people, because when it's hot, I bump into people, and people will be like, Mads, why are you walking? Why? Because I'm like, I don't just walk into the garage and I'm like, car, give me a car, so you find like those kind of things, like people think, why is she not buying a car? Like they don't really know the real challenges that you have, and the challenges, like especially for the business. Like I'm sitting here right now shooting this video. I don't even know what's gonna happen next, to be honest. I don't even know how I'm gonna like run this business without a car. I don't even know where I can go, where they can give me a car for free until I get my things together. So yeah, that's my story, you guys. That's my story. I'm just sharing. I always thought I'd wait until I'm successful to share my stories. Then I thought it's gonna be more significant because you guys are gonna get to see my struggles, and then you're also gonna get to see my successes, and then you'll know what God is able to do exceedingly and abundantly above all that He can ever ask or think of. So that's my story, and thank you so much, you guys, for watching this video up until the end. I hope that you did subscribe so that we can grow together and learn together. I love you guys.